In the headlines, federal government to meet NLC over fuel subsidy removal. Nigerians groan as fuel queues return to filling station. Sokoto State Governor nullifies Tambuwal last appointment. On the foreign scene, Sudan Army suspends participation in Jeddah ceasefire talks. Hello and welcome to the news update on Trust TV. I am Ayuba Ida. Thanks for joining. And now the details. The federal government representatives are expected to meet with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress today by 2 p.m. over the planned removal of fuel subsidy. This was disclosed by NLC National President Joe Ajaero. On Monday, during his inaugural speech, President Bola Tinubu said that the era of subsidy payment on fuel has ended. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited has since backed Tinubu on the removal of the fuel subsidy. However, the Trade Union Congress of Nigeria said the president cannot unilaterally take a decision on subsidy removal. Fuel queues have since resurfaced across the country since the presidential pronouncement as Nigerians forage for the premium product, which is now sold from 300 naira per litre and above.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu
has started making tough decisions on key parameters that would shape his government right from inauguration. On the first day in office, the president held crucial meetings to navigate how he will implement these tough decisions. Kehinde Amodu reports. Report later. Now, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, differ on fuel subsidy removal announced by President Bola Tinubu. While NNPC Limited welcomes the move, IPMAN insists the removal should be gradual. Chamo Taben reports.
Following the announcement on the removal of subsidy by President Bola Tinubu, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited says it welcomes the subsidy removal, stating that it would free up funds that were otherwise tied up in subsidizing fuel, which according to the group CEO, Mele Kyari, cost the country 400 billion naira on a monthly basis.
We have been funding the subsidy from the cash flow of NNPC since government is unable to defray the cost of subsidy that is due to the corporation. And we believe that this will free resources for the NNPC to continue to do the great work that this company will do for our country, and it allows us to continue to function as a very commercial entity.
Kyari, however, assured Nigerians of the availability of fuel, advising motorists against panic buying. But Vice President of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, Abubakar Megandi, argues that the subsidy removal must be done in phases.
The issue of subsidy removal is a long-term process which they have started almost since last year. And they have been calling us on the issue. We know definitely Nigeria is losing a lot of money on the issue of subsidy, but we tell them if they want to do subsidy, they should do it based on pace. Since we have 3 refineries, let this refinery be functional. Then secondly, Dangote refinery, 2, will assist. So that is the advice that we give them, and then they create some certain palliatives that will cushion the effect of the subsidy.
Fuel queues have now resurfaced at fueling stations, with some stations selling at 600 naira per litre, a situation which Megandi says he is unaware of.
All what I know, as I go around, I have seen there is a lot of queues. People are queuing to see that they source the product, because Mr. President has already announced that they will remove the subsidy. No, normally what people fail to understand is very difficult for a marketer to go and hoard the product. Because if you hoard this product, all you that I have been telling people, you are hoarding your money. And this money is not your money, you carry the loan. And the bank is looking for your turnover. We too, if they remove the subsidy, it has some certain side effect to us. The side effect is we have to increase huge amount of money before we can be able to buy the product. And most of us really rely on the banks to have a loan. And the bank loan now, the charges is almost 26%.
With inflation already at 22.22% and food inflation at 24.61%, Megandi warned that the outright removal of fuel subsidy will push the cost of goods and services beyond the limits of the average Nigerian and push the already 71% misery index in the country. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has started making tough decisions on key parameters that will shape his government right from inauguration. On the first day in office, the president held crucial meetings to navigate how he will implement these tough decisions. Kehinde Amodu reports.
From these first few hours, it is clear that there is so much work to be done. After separate meetings with the Group CEO of the NNPC Limited and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, any decision on fuel subsidy will lead to chain reactions across the country, as evident from the long queues at fueling stations nationwide. The appearance of these queues seem to have caught the attention of the president, but the NNPC helmsman is emphatic that fuel subsidy can no longer be sustained.
Fortunately, also by virtue of the provisions of the law and also the Appropriation Act 2023, it is no longer available for that funding. And we are very convinced today that the country can no longer fund this subsidy bill and they will not be able to pay NNPC. And therefore, we are pleased to note Mr. President's commitment to elimination of this subsidy because they can't afford it anymore. And we will take necessary steps to ensure that we recover our costs from the market.
But he is giving assurances that government will initiate measures to cushion the effects of the removal of subsidy.
And also being mindful of the fact that, a situation like this can lead to exploitation of customers, and we're also working with the regulator who is here with me to see how we can cap any such excessive management of greed.
Thirdly, I want to call upon all the marketing companies to open up their petrol stations and depots to sell to the public, because they will hear communication from NNPC, because NNPC currently has all the stock in the country. And NNPC will do their transfer price. And when you ask what is going to be the price, I cannot tell you exactly, because the market is deregulated. Therefore, it's going to be an open market based on the cost of delivery. So NNPC, of course, will advise all the marketing companies very soon to say this is their transfer price. And on the basis of that, they now will translate into what the pump price is going to be. So there's not going to be any cap per se, but it's going to be based on the cost of importation. And again, I repeat, ourselves and the FCCPC will ensure that the consumer is not taken advantage of.
The reality of what is on ground will set in the next few days, as President Tinubu is briefed by heads of key ministries, parastatals and agencies. The shocking truth on day one is that federal government is owing the NNPCL 2.8 trillion naira in fuel subsidy deficit, which it must pay back. From State House, Abuja, Kehinde Amodu, Trust TV News.
In the meantime, long fuel queues have returned to Kaduna as motorists spend hours to buy petrol. Bello Musa reports that some filling stations are selling as high as 300 naira per litre, as against government-regulated price of 195 naira. The report.
Many filling stations in Kaduna have closed their gates to motorists and therefore not selling fuel. These are the few filling stations dispensing fuel in Kaduna metropolis. The situation also triggered panic buying, with many motorists trooping out to the fuel stations to fill their cars.
It is not suitable. Wallahi. As of yesterday, that's fuel, but today we wake up, we will not see fuel again. I still there more than 3 hours. I never see the fuel. We are still on the queue.
Because of the announcement that Mr. President said he removed the fuel subsidy, everywhere fuel becomes scarce and difficult. See, you can imagine how masses are suffering to get fuel, which is wrong. Not because the fuel is not available. Fuel is available everywhere, but intentionally they refuse to sell the fuel.
We are the ones suffering ourselves, not the government. As I have said, today is 30th of May. This filling station is selling 210. Can you tell me the first subsidy has been removed? Somebody else is selling 310. It means somebody sold 320. So it means that we are the ones suffering ourselves. It's not the government. It is high time we should be honest to one another.
Some motorists attributed the scarcity to announcement by the government of fuel subsidy removal. However, they are ready to support the removal only if it will benefit Nigerians.
It's a good one if the federal government will be able to do what they promise us. But one thing is that I want them to be able to consider the masses. First, they should consider the masses.
It's a good one, but however, it is ill-timed. I want to believe that they should have allowed the new refinery, the Dangote refinery, to come on board fully, and then before they take out the oil subsidy.
The scarcity resumed after the new President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in his inaugural speech admitted that fuel subsidy is not captured in 2023 budget beyond June. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Now, reactions have continued to trail the announcement by President Bola Tinubu that fuel subsidy has ended. In Bauchi State, residents are appealing to stakeholders in the oil sector to consider the plight of Nigerian masses before taking any action on the matter. Trust TV's Adamu Imam reports.
The issue of removing oil subsidy has been a tricky one since the commencement of the Fourth Republic. This is due to the likely strain it will initially have on the average Nigerian. Although its long-term effect are deemed positive, attempts to end the regime had always been opposed due to lack of concrete palliative measures to assuage the biting effect. With the presidential declaration at the inaugural ceremony on 29th of May, residents within Bauchi State capital say it has resulted in the hike in price and closure of some filling stations. Nigerian masses don't even know where they're headed. The former president just handed over to President Tinubu, who just announced the removal of fuel subsidy, and now oil marketers have started closing filling stations. Today we witness a hike in the price of petrol. It is now sold for 360 naira per litre. We also observe delays on queues, while some even tampered with the adjustment in the petrol dispensing machine. It is unfortunate. I bought 20 liters 2 days ago at 5,100 naira, but today even 8,000 did not fill up the 20 liters gallon, and they will not agree to sell the product to me unless I added an additional 500 naira. Others lament that petrol stations are holding the commodity to the detriment of many Nigerians, while black marketers took advantage of the scarcity to make bricks business as usual.
There must be awareness on what the statement is meant for Nigerians. Not that we'll be rushing here and going here, up and down, buying and keeping for ourselves. And secondly, we call on the authorities that are regulating these marketers, these fuel marketers and other related agencies that have concern over this thing, even the DSS and the SSS. Everybody that is stakeholder in this sector should come and see what is happening and should address it now, so that this is the only time they will address it.
You can see filling station available, more especially by government prices. But those days, I see a day before yesterday, you can see a fuel station is often available. But today we woke up, we see this thing happens, but we don't know.
They, however, appealed to the president to have a rethink on the issue and execute policies that will better the lives of all Nigerians. Adamu Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The new governor of Sokoto State, Ahmed Aliyu, assumed duty in office on Tuesday after his inauguration on Monday. Aliyu arrived at the government house at noon. Abubakar Imam reports that the symbolic handing over of the instruments of authority did not take place, as neither the outgone governor, Aminu Tambuwal, nor any official of his government attended the ceremony. Aliyu vowed to review some of the policies of the former administration. While elaborating his 9-point agenda, Aliyu said that he will give priority to security, health, and poverty eradication. The governor nullified all the recent appointments made by his predecessor, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal. He also nullified the recent renaming of some academic institutions and other appointments related to their governing councils. His spokesman, Abubakar Bawa, on Tuesday announced dissolution of local government areas' sole administrators appointed by Tambuwal. Bawa explained that the appointments will be reviewed in due course in the public interest. In a similar vein, the newly sworn-in governor of Taraba State, Agbu Kefas, has dissolved the 16 local government caretaker committee chairmen in the state. The governor, in a press statement, asked that they hand over government properties in their possession to the heads of local government administration in their respective councils. The dissolution is with immediate effect. Meanwhile, the governor has made his first appointments of Chief Protocol Officer and Chief Press Secretary. They are Yusuf Wandoma and Yusuf Sanda, respectively. He also approved the appointment of J.G. Williams as his Chief of Staff, with Timothy Kataps as the Secretary to Taraba State Government. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Coming up shortly. Justice for deceased OAU student. Details of this and more after the break. Welcome back. You're watching the news update on Trust TV. Here's a look at the top stories. Federal government to meet NLC over fuel subsidy removal. Nigerians groan as fuel queues return to filling stations across Kaduna State. Now, following the dissolution of disciplinary committee of the park management system in Oyo State, led by Mukailu Lamidi, popularly known as Auxiliary, police authorities have arrested 78 suspects and recovered assorted arms, ammunition, and charms. Similarly, security agents have appealed to citizens of the state to furnish them with useful information that could lead to the arrest of the former park manager, Mukaila Lamidi, who is said to be on the run. The State Commissioner of Police, Adebowale Williams, gave the charge in Ibadan during a parade of the suspects where he assured residents of adequate security. The report.
The obvious shock and surprise on the faces of onlookers and police officers who had come to catch a glimpse of the large seizure of arms, ammunition, charm, and other dangerous weapons intercepted during midnight sting operation on the hotel facility of former chairman park management system, Mukaila Lamidi, sent cold shivers down the spine of all present at this parade.
To the above, today, Tuesday 30/5/2023, in a strategic intelligence coordinated raid around this location at Diamond Hotel, Alakia, Isebo, under Egbeda local government area, 78 suspected Ulus who had perfected plans to unleash mayhem at the early hours of today at major parts of the metropolis were arrested in possession of sophisticated weapons, 724 cartridges, assorted charms, 33 mobile phones, and a sum cash of about 3,450,000 naira.
The clampdown is coming hours after the state government dissolved the disciplinary committee of the park management system, and the police said the 78 suspect had perfected plans to cause trouble within the state.
During the raid, sophisticated firearms were recovered inside the hotel rooms and in the trunk compartment of the parked vehicles within the hotel. Worthy of note is that though the PMS chieftain was able to escape with some of his boys during the gun duel with the police, however, a member of the group was neutralized in a gun duel with the police. In furtherance of the above, Oyo State Police Command, under my constructive leadership, reiterates its unwavering commitment towards tackling criminal rascality, hooliganism, and blatant disregard for the rule of law. Consequent on the above, the Oyo State Police Command enjoins residents to cooperate with the police with the provision of useful information to help apprehend the sacked PMS chieftain.
Cash running into millions of naira, charms, dangerous weapons as well as arms and ammunition still litter the streets, and the security agents here have promised to smoke out all criminal elements hell-bent on disrupting the peace in Nigerian peace-setter state, Oyo. To achieve this, the police are calling for synergy from members of the public to put an end to the needless loss of precious lives and property.
The Osun State High Court in Osogbo has sentenced a popular businessman, Ramon Adedoyi, to death by hanging over the murder of a student of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, Timothy Adegoke. The Chief Judge of the State, Justice Adepele Ojo, while delivering judgment on Tuesday, found Adedoyi guilty and convicted him. Hamid Oegbade reports.
Late Timothy Adegoke lodged at Hilton Honors Hotel between 5th and 7th of November 2021, where he was sent to his early grave. He was murdered and his remains evacuated and dumped in a bush on Ede Road by some staff of the hotel. The owner of the hotel, Ramon Adedoyi, and his staff were arrested and prosecuted at the Osun State High Court in Osogbo. The Chief Judge of the State, Justice Adepele Ojo, found Adedoyi guilty and sentenced him to death by hanging.
The first defendant is Dr. Raymond Adedoyi, and he has been convicted for conspiracy to commit murder and murder, among other counts preferred against him. The third defendant is Adeni Yaderogba. He was the manager of the hotel. He was the one that admitted that himself, Rahim Adedoyi, who is now at large, the fifth defendant, evacuated the dead body of the late Timothy Adegoke from the hotel, from room 305 where he was lodged, and evacuated it and dumped him at Ede Road. They both admitted and they were convicted for their various roles in the entire case. So the fifth defendant is Oyetunde Kazim. He was also a money manager as well in the same hotel. So the three of them, including the seventh defendant, have been convicted for conspiracy to commit murder and murder.
The range of the sentence?
For the conspiracy, they were convicted for 10 years imprisonment, and for some other offenses, they were convicted for life imprisonment. And the other one, the ultimate conviction was that they were convicted to death by hanging. Justice has been served, well served in this case, in the sense that the late Timothy Adegoke did not die in vain.
Yeah, in line with the provisions of the law, we will consult with our clients.
The relatives of the deceased expressed happiness with the judgment, while the convicts might proceed to the higher court until their rights of appeal is exhausted. Hamid Oyegbade, Trust TV News, Osogbo.
Now, on the foreign scene, Sudan's army has suspended its participation in talks over a ceasefire and humanitarian access, raising fears of renewed fighting that has displaced tens of thousands of people. The talks with the rival paramilitary Rapid Support Forces began in the Saudi Arabia port city of Jeddah in early May and had produced a declaration of commitment to protecting civilians and two short-term ceasefire deals that have been repeatedly violated. The army and the RSF had agreed to extend a week-long ceasefire deal by 5 days just before it was due to expire late on Monday. Until late Tuesday, intense clashes were reported in Sudan's capital, Khartoum, with residents reporting intensive fighting in all three of the adjoining cities that make up Sudan's greater capital around the confluence of the Nile, Khartoum, Omdurman and Khartoum North. The truce was brokered and is being remotely monitored by the Saudi Arabia and the United States, which say it has been violated by both sides but has allowed for the delivery of aid. The war has forced nearly 1.4 million people to flee their homes, including more than 350,000 who have crossed into neighboring countries. More than 6 weeks into the conflict, the United Nations estimated that more than half the population, 25 million people, to be in need of aid and protection. And in sports news, Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola has been named Manager of the Year by the League Managers Association. It's the third time Guardiola has collected the Sir Alex Ferguson Trophy, voted for by managers across all of the divisions. The Spaniard, 52, also won the Premier League Manager of the Year award after his side clinched a third consecutive title and fifth in 6 seasons. Guardiola became only the third manager to win 3 or more LMA Manager of the Year awards, matching David Moyes' tally, but still 2 behind Sir Alex Ferguson. Now, City faced Manchester United in Saturday's FA Cup final. Victory in that match will set up a chance to win the treble when they face Inter Milan in the Champions League final on 10 June. And that's it for the news update. You can watch more via all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ile. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.